G'day guys, my name's Paul and I'm with Noshk Prepper. Thanks for tuning into this video. I'm just sitting out here with my chickens and I just want to cover the topic today of prepping for apartment dwellers, and this is part 1, and I'm going to call this video Hard Truths. This has been something that's been requested through our Facebook group and also through YouTube, so I figured that this is worth covering. So if you live in an apartment, if you're living in a city or a built up area, I highly urge you, stick with this video, listen to it, and just chew on the stuff that I'm going to present to you guys today. This is really important. I've spent time trying to condense it and boil it down so that you'll have some information to go on. So the sad reality really is, and I'm using some notes here, but the sad reality is that comfortable life in an apartment is only possible because you're depending on critical infrastructure and systems that are being provided for by other people. That really is the harsh truth. As apartment dwellers, we are unfortunately consumers, and we produce very little of the essentials that we need to live day by day. So what does this mean? It means that water, food, electricity, so the gas, the heat, our security, our transport and our access to and from the places we need to get to, our communication, even our emergency services if something goes bad, all of these things are dependent on a functioning society. So society can be disrupted extremely easily. There's all different ways that things can fall apart in society, and these can be natural disasters or these can be man-made disasters even. If we look at Pakistan, Sri Lanka, or even Germany or Norway for that matter at the moment, with all the soaring energy prices, we see just how weak the system is, and our system is very dependent on greedy people. It really is. Your planning, if you're going to be preparing and you're living in an apartment, your planning depends on type of situation that you're expecting to run into. That said, there are two main scenarios really that I see unfolding. The first one are natural disasters. So these are short to medium term, and you have an expectation that aid and critical infrastructure are going to be restored. The next are the man-made disasters, and these are medium to long term. These include things like conflict, governmental or economic collapse, food shortages, energy shortages. And energy shortages are going to impact absolutely everything else that we see. Now, I'm going to start with the short and medium term type scenario, because this will also apply for long term and scenarios as well. But for the short term to medium term, you should really have supply sufficient to last you 3 months if you have to bug in at your apartment. You should not be depending on any external inputs. Now, we've seen these type of emergencies, for example, in Australia and California with forest fires, Pakistan, China and Germany with flooding. Even Germany, they struggled when they had severe floods. Norway, Switzerland, they've had problems with landslides and avalanches and things like that, and people have been cut off for weeks at a time. Since we assumed that critical infrastructure would be restored in these type of natural disasters, we need to have the plan and the supplies to enable the following. So first of all, is shelter. So you need heat, light and security. Home is where you are safe. Okay, your home is where you are safe. So security is an important aspect to that. The next thing after shelter is water. So you have to have water storage, purification and the ability to transport it, because water becomes extremely valuable. It's necessary for life. After that, so we have shelter and water, next is food. You've got to have storage, so you have to have food stored, you have to be able to cook it, and you need food to be able to cater for special needs such as baby formula, and if you have pets, you need pet food. So you have shelter, water, food. Next is clothing. Now you have to assume lower temperatures inside your apartment, because you will not have the energy available like you had previously to heat it to a comfortable temperature. So because of that, you have to have appropriate clothing, and you need to assume you may have to leave your apartment quickly, and you have to have appropriate clothing for all different types of weather conditions if that's the case. Next, you have first aid supplies and any necessary medications that you need. For those of you that are diabetic, you need to have a good store of insulin. So let's go back over the list so far. We have shelter, water, food, clothing, first aid supplies and necessary medications, and then we have sanitation. So you need to consider waste storage, removal or treatment, without needing to leave the safety of your apartment. This is critical. You have to be able to stay in your apartment. You need to consider washing and cleaning supplies, and then pest control. How are you going to handle mice? How are you going to handle flies and mosquitoes and things like that? You need to consider how to stop disease. You need soap to wash your hands. You need to keep yourself clean. Next, you need to look at energy production to keep certain devices powered. Silent is best. If you've got some solar panels that you can set up at windows and things like that, then that's also really important to have, and battery bank. Next is communication. You have to have the ability to contact your family and your network without dependence on cell phone reception or internet or mains power. How are you going to stay in touch with people? After that, you've got transport. So you have to have a means of transporting you, your loved ones, and the essentials at a moment's notice. It has to be independent of electricity. That's one of the first things that will go down is the power grid. You have to be able to navigate bad roads with spare tyres, a winch, emergency equipment, and sufficient fuel to get to where you need to go if you're driving a vehicle. And then you have to be able to operate at night and quietly. And then the last one on the list is your entertainment. If you're going to be bugged in for months at a time, you want books, games, writing implements, anything else that you can spend your time on constructively. So let me go over the list, just go over the top things: shelter, water, food, clothing, first aid supplies and medications, sanitation, energy production, communication, transport, and entertainment. Now let me be very real with you guys for a second. You need to prepare for the worst. You really do. If you've made it this far into the video, please, you need to prepare for the absolute worst. When disaster strikes, people revert to their most basic programming. Selfish, ruthless people will be even more selfish and even more ruthless. Good people, well, they're going to be decent and they're going to rally together and help, and many will be selfless to their own and even their group's detriment. Those people with big hearts, they'll starve themselves and their family and their group by trying to help everyone. People revert back to their programming. For the Norwegians that are listening to this, let me give you guys an example. We saw the energy price hikes in Norway. Now everyone is complaining about how the government's handling this and the greedy corporations that are making billions by gouging Norwegian citizens. Those individuals that are selling firewood, they're doing exactly the same. They're doing the same thing. They saw an opportunity to rip off their neighbours and those around them who were hurting from the energy prices, who couldn't afford to heat their houses, and they took that chance immediately to make extra money, and they showed absolutely no mercy to those people that are barely making ends meet. If you don't trust the government to do what's right in the big corporations, but specifically the government, remember, the government is a representation of the soul of the nation. You get the government you deserve. If they're greedy and lining their own pockets, that's because that's exactly what the majority of the population is doing. You cannot then trust the average person on the street to do what's right either. When the chips are down, they're going to be in it for themselves. Therefore, you absolutely need a community and a network around you. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Bugging out. You need to be prepared to bug out at a moment's notice. You need a set of requirements that once those requirements are met, you know it's ready to just grab your stuff and you get out of Dodge. Now here's a list of questions that are going to get you started with your list. 1. Is there an immediate threat to my home and family if I stay? 2. Is the situation volatile in that there is a risk of escalation? 3. Can I defend my home and family where I'm currently located? 4. Would it be safer if we left than staying at our current location? Now, in order to bug out though, you need somewhere to bug out to. You have to have somewhere to get to. And you have to do preparation beforehand. You have to consider the following when you decide to bug out. How do you notify family and friends that you've left? If communications are down, how do you let them know so that they're not going to be worried about you? 2, how will you contact others in your network if you need assistance bugging out? Have you an agreed set of criteria that even if you don't contact them, they'll be there waiting for you at your pickup point? Where are they going to meet you? Next, have you practiced the bugging out procedure, and do you have alternative meeting points and routes? Do your family know where to meet so that in any kind of conditions, all of you are going to meet at the same point at the same time? Next, if you need to do this on foot, have you left caches along the way so that you don't need to carry everything with you? This is especially necessary if you've got kids or people with special needs. And then last of all, are you able to find your way at night or make the journey in the winter? What about if you have children with you or you're injured? Are you able to do it then? If you don't have a secondary location to bug out to, you better get networking fast. You really got to get in top gear here. You also need to sit down and make a list of what you can offer the 3 Fs. And the 3 Fs are friends, family, and farmers. Because that's where you're going to be going. Friends, family, and farmers. People with land and have farms, they're going to be hot property really soon. You need to have whatever is necessary to make them want to have you around. And you need to be brutally honest with yourself that if you bring nothing to the table, you better start getting skills and resources, because your very life and possibly your immediate family's life may depend on it. So let's look at the harsh reality. The unfortunate truth is that disaster looming that we can see is man-made and will likely involve energy and food shortages, hyperinflation, civil unrest, and possibly even conflict when things get bad enough. Just look at Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Panama, Chile, Turkey, Germany, and even now Norway is starting to experience people being very dissatisfied with what's happening with the energy prices and everything that's going on. This means that you must have an alternative location outside of the city that you can go to until things stabilise. If you're living in an apartment, this is critical. As I mentioned, apartment living will not allow you to produce the essentials that you need to survive. All you'll be doing is living off your stores until you run out or somebody bigger and tougher than you is going to come and take it from you. To make matters worse, the higher the population density, the larger number of unscrupulous people are going to be living in your vicinity. That's the harsh reality of it. You need a community. You need to build relationships. You need to have skills that you can bring to the table that differentiate you from others. When disaster strikes, societal niceties and political correctness will just dissolve away, and all you'll have is a very competitive environment where the loser will likely not get a second chance and will be on their own. This is the harsh reality. For those of you in apartments, you need to start moving fast and you need to start preparing so that you can bring something with you, skills or equipment, or build the relationships and start building up the resources at the other location right now. In summary, have resources to bug in for up to 3 months if you're in an apartment. You have to have a clear set of conditions that indicate when you're going to bug out. You have to have somewhere prepared to bug out to, and if you don't have that, you need to start working on that today. You need to practice getting to the meeting point from different locations and under different circumstances, and your family do as well, even if you've got children. You need to start building useful skills that others value, and you need to work on your network and your community. And you need to remember the 3 Fs: family, friends, and farmers. Guys, there's going to be a part 2 on this, and I'm going to produce a series of these, but I hope you enjoyed this. Leave us a like. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Feel free to share this with people you know that are in apartments that haven't even started prepping yet. Remember, this is just being prudent. This is being wise. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you look at the description, I'll have a lot of these notes here. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, we do have a Facebook group. You can join there and you can get a lot of these resources there as well. Anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. Good luck with all your prepping, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. This is Paul from Noshk Prepper, over and out. See you guys.